Hello and welcome back. Today we're going to be discussing Dogecoin and a couple of others. Now, is Dogecoin actually going to continue this uptrend or is it going to reverse? Well, stay tuned. We're going to cover that. If you haven't already, subscribe, drop a comment below, and click on that bell. Dogecoin is trading right now at 0.13, meaning that is 13 cents, and it looks like it's kind of going, well, sideways, right? Well, or is it? So the deal with Dogecoin, right? Given the fact that Elon Musk had acquired Twitter, of course, that did send Dogecoin in a upward trend, giving just a couple of days ago, around October 29th, 30th, and this is where we're seeing that good pump, right? Now, it did move it above the 200 moving day average, and we're looking, of course, exactly at the daily time frame. Giving Dogecoin right now, the last time that it was up at this price was back in, it was back in April, right? And of course, it went down just like everything else did in the market, and this is where we are. Now, given that, with that being said, this is where it is getting kind of stopped a little bit. We had this pressure coming in right about at 14, about right here, right? Now, given we're seeing this pressure before between the previous resistance level, and that's kind of where it's going. Now, of course, the next one's going to kind of touch in the area of being, let's get everything moved, right? So giving that this area here is also the next big one, which we started to actually reach back and around. And I'm just going to kind of shift this up just a little bit. This is going to be the next area of pressure coming in that's going to have to fight through, which is around 18 cents trading in. Now, if we're talking about the next bottom where it could potentially reach as well, we're going to be looking at around 5 cents, right? Which is quite the big difference. However, it is sitting well right now. It is sitting about 69 on the MFI. Take it or leave it if you want. It's not really bad, but it was starting to be overbought, right? Which is also a big sign of it kind of moving down as well. And it's starting to kind of pick up some buying pressure as well. Looking at a little bit closely, right, we did have these candles kind of coming in. Now, the previous day was a nice candle giving that is just a little bit of a retracement. I mean, it's the same thing if we're looking at it from the 30th, right? A good momentum candle coming in with a long wick, which you kind of reached that pressure to, which reached above that, of course rejected. Coming through, selling, when people started seeing this, it did start to kind of move on down. But then it started to move over to try to retest that again over the next couple of days. And it did, and it did kind of beat on that door, but at the same level, it was getting rejected. Now, the same thing is kind of happening today so far. It's breaching in, selling pressure's coming in, pushing it right back down. It could, if we can actually knock past this, we can get a good momentum candle and actually validate that the uptrend is going to continue, which is around 14 more hours left of the day. But if we can get a momentum candle, which is going to validate there's a break and resistance, it can move in, and then you're going to see the next selling pressure around 17. So depending on your trade, how you're going in to this will tell you. If you missed this uptrend already from the start, if you missed it from around 5-6% cents back from the let's say 7 cents, if you miss that one, it's going to be a little hard to kind of come in and make some money unless we're going to expect a big shoot, which is you're going to see a lot of pressure coming in, so it's going to be quite hard to get there, at least another, depending on what happens. And given the fact that this news base, and being the fact that it is a meme coin, it doesn't have like really market sense to it, but it's more driven by news. So anything can happen here, so it's kind of a risky one if you're going there, but you can see a lot of pressure based from here. But the good thing is that it is above the 200 EMA. That's a big plus that we move past here, but it could also come back down. Very strong move. It's a very, very strong move. So if we can get past this, I mean, we're going to be looking at, for example, this here, and you can see that's, man, that was a strong rejection coming up. I mean, strong from here, from not just one time, but 2 or 3 times, and even here, I mean, it was just rejected nonstop, around 21 cents. I mean, the last big price that closed in at was around 30 cents, and before that, of course, it was much higher around before. So this is where we kind of want to pay attention to, moving from there. But let's check out some of our others, right? So for example, Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin has been kind of moving sideways now. It's trading around 20,287, moving sideways as well. We have our resistance point that I put in here to kind of pay attention to the next level, is around 23,962. Given that it's pretty strong, right? It kept getting rejected up here. I mean, quite a bit. And that's our next level. Now we're moving sideways. We're kind of looks like it's consolidating a little bit more. It is below. It is around 40. It could move up. The further down we go, of course, you're going to have that potential for a reversal. But this is where to kind of pay attention to as well. We want to move in. You'll see some pressure at 22, for example, pretty strong as it's acting as previous resistance and support from that previous movement sideways. So if we can get past that, we'll continue going. We're getting closer and closer to the 200 EMA, which is really good. Bitcoin usually performs quite well above the 200 EMA. So we are getting in for a move to go forward. But we do need to see something a little bit more concrete with Bitcoin to do that, right? So is it possible? Without a doubt. Now, let's take a look at the weekly for Bitcoin. The weekly here is, well, still also below when we're looking at this, but it's still kind of moving in an uptrend, minus the, well, the selling that's going on. Of course, we still have 3 days into this week before we get pushing over. It broke above that 200 EMA on the weekly briefly back in August, but of course it was pushed back down and riding the line of the support, which is kind of what we want to get further and further away from this to actually see some positive momentum coming in. Okay, and AVAX. Now AVAX has been out of the picture for quite some time, right? It hasn't been performing as well as anybody has wanted to, especially with everything going on. But either way, it is still moving in. It's trading around $18.76, far below what it used to. Now, as far as the MFI is around 70, it is it's not where we want to be, right? Because each time, especially when we get to around 80, or especially when it was overbought at 85 here, it started to kind of move down and push that pressure in as well. Now, of course, the lower it is, the better. We all know that, right? But it is kind of consolidating a little bit. Just not enough movement, not enough volume really coming in for AVAX to do it. It's pretty much dead in the water. Now it's also going over. It's also getting closer to the 200 EMA as well. Now, with how everything's going, I mean, we're talking about back in December. If we can kind of get just a little bit closer to that, the better. Especially looking at our confluence lines where it's going to set. But it's just so hard to kind of really call it right now until you really pay attention to the MFI to see where it's going to start pumping. We just need some more pressure coming in, some more buying volume to actually really make any kind of call for this. Right, so here we go. You can see now it is going up in an upward way for the last couple of days. It is slowly going up, but I mean a few cents in a day. But we need it to continue. But if it doesn't change in the next 14 hours, we need a good solid momentum candle pushing forward. Am I bullish on AVAX? Well, at this moment, not quite. It's just too hard to call, especially as we're coming in. Now the next pressure coming in, if we can break past it, and that's going to be around $20. If we can get to around 20 right here, we can get a good momentum candle, I think we can start to move. Right. Overall, the market altogether is, well, not the greatest, right? A sea of red. Bitcoin, 20,294. Ethereum's at 1547. But it's down for the last 24 hours, 96% for Bitcoin, 0.96%. In Ethereum for 1.43%. XRP is down by 0.40%. down by 3.37 for the week. But if you're looking BNB up for the weekly, it's actually did really good at 16.5% as well. Solana is up by 0.69 for the week and down by 28. Polygon is one of those ones that is actually kind of moving a little bit, especially in the last 24 hours. 11%, almost 12%, 11.69%, doing really, really well. And Tron's also not doing anything, but AVAX, what we were just speaking about for the weekly, 9.90% and 3.53% for the 24-hour period, which is a good moment to kind of pay attention to them. Now, I'm not so on this because we've seen this before where it starts to pump a little bit, but then kind of decides to do its own thing. Anyways, thank you for joining me. Do subscribe, support the channel by clicking on the bell, and follow us for more videos. Thank you.